So we'll go ahead and get started with the retailer operations portion of the session. And uh, for retailer operations, it brings automation and visibility to those manual administrative tasks, such as driver's license review and disclosure, mileage logs, accident reports, purchase request, and citizen. So it gives us all the value that we've been talking about so far in all of these different areas that may not be in the mainstream of the lottery automation, but they benefit from the same visibility, automation, and approval management. So I'll turn it over to Carlos and let him get started.
Great, thanks, Kelly. So again, what I want to take you guys through is a couple of the different forms that, some may be related to lottery automation, others may just be related to typical company functions. We've got a lot of users that leverage the system to also do HR forms. So we're going to look at some forms, but you can easily imagine using these forms to do PTO requests. Right now in sort of the pandemic age, we've got some users that have an employee fill out a form confirming that they don't have COVID symptoms as they come in. The nice thing about the platform that we're showing here is that you have the ability to make a lot of these changes, really all the changes. I talked about customizing the forms, but even the workflow, we've got many of our users that they build their own workflows. We've got great training materials to assist doing that, but you have with the platform the ability to make those changes. And what's nice is because it's a platform, as new versions come out of the software, everything just flows seamlessly. So you don't have to worry about upgrading workflows because you're going to a new version. It basically takes care of it for you. So what I'm going to do, we looked previously at a form in the web browser. So I'll just click this form. Here's a mileage log form, but just to be a little different, I'll show you what the form looks like within the client here. So I'm going to open up our mileage log form, and you can see pretty much looks the same. Because again, we want that consistent user experience. So no matter what type of device they're filling out a form on or working with the information, we want that to be a consistent, familiar experience to them. So this form is a little more maybe involved than some of the other ones that I showed earlier today. This one is set up so that a user can actually fill out a mileage log. They can do this on their phone if they want, on a tablet, on a computer. So again, doesn't really matter. And what you'll see is I've got some calculations in here. So again, we looked at interactions before. Now we're going to look at how the system can make calculations based off of the data that the user is entering in this form. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose a department. We can see this is a required field, starting mileage. So I'll just enter 5,000 miles to start. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my name. You'll notice when I choose my name, it fills it in with my user ID, my manager, and my manager's ID. So again, we're just doing a lookup. This can be to an HR system. This can be internal, can be part of Active Directory, doesn't matter. You'll also notice up here at the top, these fields that are slightly grayed out, we'll keep coming back to these. But right now, it updated with the last reported mileage. So I said my starting mileage was 5,000. So as of right now, that is the last reported mileage that I have. I'm going to choose the vehicle. And again, when I choose my vehicle, it's going to fill in the make and model. I could have it fill in the license plate number, whatever information I wanted. And since this is a mileage log, I need to put in what period of time this is for. And here you can see we just kind of have it set so the user knows the format. So it's going to be a 2-digit month and then a 2-digit year. At this point, if the user has filled out a mileage log by paper, some users still like to keep that information in paper form. Sometimes it's easy for them to jot down. What we give them the ability to do is they can actually still scan and attach that mileage log in paper form right here to this form. So again, I would just click this icon, I would choose my mileage log, and now it becomes part of the form. The other thing, though, I've given the ability on this one is now to add each individual trip. So you can see down here, I click this add button and I have just a very simple table. It already pre-populated the out mileage. So this is basically my starting mileage. And just like in the previous sample, I have some dates. So whenever I have a date column, I can go ahead and get a calendar flyout. And I'm going to say this was from the office to FS Lotto. Purpose of the visit was a site visit, the purpose of the trip. And then I have my out mileage because this is my first trip, so it just takes my starting mileage. And I'm going to put my in mileage as 5063. When I tab off of this, you'll see it automatically calculated. So I drove 63 miles because I knew my starting, my ending mileage. If I scroll up to the top here, it's now been started to update this form further. So now on this mileage report, I have 63 total miles driven. The last reported mileage now is 5063 because again, I added that trip. So I can add additional trips. So we'll just go ahead and add one or two more. And again, I'm not going to fill all this out right now. The most important part is probably here. We'll just choose a number, 5175. I tab off. It shows me it's 112 miles. So again, if we scroll up, this mileage log now has 175 miles reported on this log. And we have our last reported mileage. The other thing that sometimes we get requests if a user does have a company vehicle to keep track of any commuting trips. So I have this little check mark here. And when I check that off, it shows me here that I have one commuting trip on this mileage log. So again, we can keep track of all that information just by users filling out some information on this form. And I could continue to add as many different records as I wanted to. You can see I can also remove after I've added some if I made a mistake. This functions again the same from a phone, tablet, etc. You'll also notice this one has multiple tabs across the top. So in some of the forms I showed earlier, we had one tab. Well, this one has multiple because we want the user to be able to attach maybe fuel receipts. So we'll click on that and we'll go to a save fuel receipt I have on my computer. And now we can see I've attached that fuel receipt. And maybe as part of this, I had some maintenance done on my vehicle this month. So I can go ahead and attach a maintenance log. And maybe there's a state inspection on my vehicle, so I can go ahead and attach that. And if there's multiple fuel receipts, I can continue to attach. So you can see, again, the idea of taking paper, creating a digital file folder or form for this. Once I've finished filling out my information on the form, I go ahead and submit this. Now, what you'll see here is I'm going to have this form flow to the driver's manager. So in this case, it's Dan Knezovich. So when I submit, it's going to ask me, do I want to create another form? I'm going to say no. And I'm going to go ahead now and log in as Dan. And this will allow the driver manager to now automatically be notified and process that form. Users can either be notified when they log in, see it on their tile, or they can receive an email every time they have an item to approve in the system. So I'm in here as Dan. I can see I have a mileage log to review, so I'll click on that. And very similar to the other workflows you've seen today, I have the ability to review this mileage log. I can view any of the attachments that are part of the log. And one difference here is I've added this review workflow status. This is so that if a user ever has a question, where is my mileage log in the approval process? Or if I was filling out, you can imagine if this was an expense report, where is it in the process of being approved? Again, multiple people can pull up these documents at the same time. They're just digital documents. So a user at any time could pull up this document and see where is it in our approval stage. So I can see it that it's currently under review by the manager. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is missing information. Again, it's going to prompt me what is missing. So I'm just going to say I need another fuel receipt. Maybe Carlos, I forgot to attach that fuel receipt for one of my trips. And again, what the system will do is it routes it back to that driver. Again, it automatically knows who the driver is, who the manager is. It knows that approval process. So you can see I'm logged back in as a driver, and it comes up in my more information needed queue. When I click on that, it's not only going to open up my mileage log, but it also automatically opened up the note. So I can see that note, and I can say, oh yeah, I did forget to attach a fuel receipt. No problem. I'll go ahead and attach my fuel receipt, save the form, and now I can resubmit it. Before I resubmit it, I just want to point out the workflow status. Again, it's showing us that the current status of this form is missing information. So this is just another tool that's part of the workflow system. I'll resubmit. We'll log back in as Dan, as a driver's manager. And we can see the form has come back. We'd be able to confirm the receipt is there. If I go to history, Mike showed you history, I showed you history as well. I can see that it went back to Carlos. Again, workflow queues, we can see that audit trail, where it's gone every step. So here it was more information needed. Dan sent it there. Carlos was the exit user, meaning Carlos is the one that caused it to leave that because he added that missing information. And then I can go ahead and approve this, and it can flow on to the operations manager if I need, or whoever does the next process. So very simple kind of workflow. Hopefully you're seeing some of the functionality that's common amongst the different workflows that we've showed you thus far. What I want to do is pull up a couple other forms and just show you some additional layouts of forms, some additional things that you can do in workflow. So I think we'll look at the accident report maybe next. So again, maybe I have a company vehicle and I got into an accident. So I can fill out my accident report. So again, just a different look of the form. You're going to see some common things. So maybe that was an accident today. I was the driver, and I can put a description. So maybe my car was hit while I was visiting a retailer in the parking lot. I can now attach accident photos. And one of the nice things is if I'm filling this out on a mobile device, when I go to this part of the form and I click, attach, in this case, accident photos, the system will automatically, it can turn on the camera. So a user can actually, just as you maybe would do with your car insurance app, I can start taking pictures and have them attached to this form while I'm out remote in the field. So we'll go ahead and attach a couple photos here. Again, I can always click a photo to view that photo or the attachment that has been brought in. And once I'm satisfied that I filled everything in, I can go ahead and submit my accident report. Again, the system can notify that driver's manager or administration, operations, whoever needs to know. In this case, I do have it go into the driver's manager, which is Dan. So again, we'll log in as Dan, and we'll see now he has this tile showing us that we've got one item. That accident report has flowed to Dan. When he clicks on it, it's going to go to workflow and show him that report. I can still see the attached pictures, anything that was attached by the user. I've got all that information available to me, again, in one nice digital file. You can see we've got some ad hoc tasks. So if I need to report this to insurance, if we need this to perform an action, when I click this, I can perform that action. We can integrate with other apps. Or if this is just to log that, yes, we called the insurance company, reported it, great, I can do that. It's now logged as part of the audit trail for the system. Just like the other form, I have the internal information. So again, right now I'm just capturing based off of either the vehicle or the driver, some additional information. But again, we could have the driver's license attached here, you know, registration for the vehicle, insurance information, whatever. If that information is stored in the system, as you saw previously when we were tying related items together, we can tie all of that together in the system. When I'm done reviewing this, I've reported it to insurance, filled out any other forms that I need to. Again, I'll just click Review Complete, and it can move on to our operations team. I'll go ahead and log in. In operations. And we can see here now logging in as sort of an admin operations user. I've got different tiles. And here you can see both of those forms that we filled out are showing up here because I'm in charge of doing that final review for mileage logs and also for accident report. So very similar to what we've seen before. I click on a tile, it's going to bring me over to that workflow. I'll see any notes that were added here if we set up the security that way. And I can go ahead, review the attached documents. I can complete, flag it as missing information, or I can even reject it. If I reject it, again, I can be prompted to enter a reason why, and that can be part of the email that gets sent out to the user. But for time's sake today, I'm just going to go ahead and complete that one. We'll come back to our personal page, and we can see now that's gone from the queue. I just have my accident report. And again, we'll just go ahead and complete this one out. So the final one I'll show here is maybe a citizen complaint form because that one is slightly different. So let's log in as a user again. We'll click this citizen complaint form. And we'll just type in some information. We'll remain consistent using the same vehicle, same driver manager, and we'll just type in, we received a complaint from a citizen for one of our vehicles. This vehicle was parked in 1.5 spots at FileSolve Lotto. So they didn't like the way that we parked our vehicle when we were doing a site visit to FS Lotto. So I'm going to submit that. And again, because we chose the driver, the system knows who to send this complaint to. So it's going to send it to that user, Dan Konezovich. So we'll go ahead and log in as him. We're going to see that citizen complaint. And now one of the things that you'll notice here that we have set up is when I come in, you're going to see it's only showing me the manager response. So we've got some questions that we need to fill out, maybe for insurance, for a fleet management system. But right now, we just want to capture the manager's response. So the manager can come in here, type in their notes on each one of these, hit their tab key. But one of the things that I added to this is we do have the manager signature, and we see we have a note, click ad hoc task to sign the form. So I have a date sign. This, when I click it, in this instance, what it's going to do, oops, I got to save my form first with my changes here. This one is just going to populate it with the date and the logged in user's name. So you can see it filled this in. But if you did want to integrate something like DocuSign or anything else, we do have that ability to integrate another signing system with the form. So I filled out just a couple random fields here with data. I'm going to go ahead and mark it as complete with the manager's response. And we're going to log back in as that operations user just to see, again, how this form functions when it's in workflow. So when I was logged in as the driver manager, I only had certain fields. But now what we want is when the operations user comes in, we want him or her to be able to see the notes that were typed in. So there's the complaint, there's the manager's response. And now you can see I can't change the previous user's response, but I can type in my response. So again, just showing a different way that we can control guide a user through filling out information correctly using workflow and some forms. So this user now can fill in everything on this form, type in their official response, save it, and again, I can sign it. So clicking that ad hoc task, now we can see this is the administrator, the user that reviewed and filled in the information. Here is the driver manager that filled all that in. So now we've created this form. We could add an ad hoc task to print it, to email it to someone, to have all that capability just, again, by the click of a button. So this was just to show you, give you, again, some ideas of other forms that can be used in the system, other types of workflow that you can use. And again, the concept of just tying all that information together. And one great way of showing that we haven't looked at today is a custom query. So a custom query is just something that's set up so allowing you to search the system for some information or for a document. So I have this very simple custom query set up here for a vehicle and its related documents. So you can see when I come to it, it gives me a simple prompt. This custom query is just, hey, give me a vehicle number. And I'm going to show you everything I have in the system for this vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and search. And now what you're going to see is this is our custom query results screen. So this is now showing me here's all the documents I have in the system since I've started using the system that are related to that vehicle. So you can see we've got some mileage log, vehicle inspection, state inspections, receipts, accident reports, etc. Well, this is great because from here, I can double click on any one of these. I can pull up that information. So this was a scanned vehicle inspection report. Here is a mileage log, so we can see that. Some users, if you're not sure like which one of these accident report photos, we actually have a docked image viewer down here. So as I'm clicking, it'll update the screen down here and show me those images. So sometimes that's easier to view. But the other thing that I really like is this is great having this big list, but I can actually work with this grid. And what I mean by that is if I've got a really long list and I'm looking for something specific, there's a couple things I can do. This first row is blank. So if I was looking for accident reports, I can start typing. I'm one that just prefers to type, but I could hit this drop down and you can see it's showing me, here's your results. What do you want to filter to? So I can quickly filter. Like most systems, when I see a grid, I can sort by clicking any one of these column headings. But the other, what I think really useful tool here is grouping. So let's say I want to just be able to group these documents by this document type. So I'm going to click that column and I'm just going to drag it up here. And now what you see it's done is it grouped it by that document type. So very quickly, I can look and I can see, I know I've got 3 accident photos. I have 1 report, I've got a citizen complaint, I've got some receipts in here. So I can see that information very quickly, and then I can expand each one to view it. So if I wanted to look at a specific fuel receipt, I expand that section, and now I'm looking at my fuel receipt. So this custom query is extremely powerful, not only just to search and retrieve documents, but I can also do quick filters and everything. Again, making you efficient. We want to make sure I don't have to go run a report over here, search for a document here, look for just this type of document over here. Everything is brought in so that you're only hopefully having to go to one screen to get the information as quickly as possible as you're navigating the system. So that's just a quick overview of sort of some different forms in the system. I do have a forms menu here, so you can see, there's things such as purchase requests, expense reports. We actually use this internally at FileSolve for all of our expense reporting, some HR forms. So when we're onboarding users, they actually fill out the forms right online using the Unity forms, and then it goes into an approval process. As an employee gets onboarded, if they need a laptop, once they get approved, it goes to the IT department. They know to create a laptop. If a user needs access to Salesforce, it automatically does that for us. So there's a lot of things you can leverage the system for, besides the bulk of what we're showing you today with the lottery automation.